Yes.
It's very nice to be here.
It's nice
I
to
feel like
have
it's
you.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Aw.
I guess it's 9.
It
Well,
is
you're used to
early.
getting up early to be on the set, 6 o'clock in the morning, all
Yes,
that.
but I'm really a night person. I work in the theater a lot. I've done theater here in Framingham and in Boston and whenever I get a
Well,
chance.
then you know the area well.
Yes.
Well, welcome back.
Isn't
Nice
it
to
true,
be
though,
here.
that when you get up early and you get out on the set, that it's a lot of hurry up and wait? Don't you kind of have
Not
time
anymore.
to wake up? No?
It used to be. They make films very quickly now. That leads me into a story I'll tell you about, which isn't in my book. I don't want to tell you stories in my book, because then nobody will buy the book. And it's called Shelley, also known as Shirley.
That's
the name of it.
interesting.
But I don't think it's in the book. During my wild and carefree youth, I had a lovely romance with John Ireland. And when I found out his divorce was getting final, I ran away and did a tour of the United States, because his wife's handed me a list of things. One child went to a psychiatrist, one child went to an orthodontist, the other one did something else, and I was about 18 or 19. And so that scared me.
You mean when you finally had him, you were frightened?
Yes.
Well,
Well, let me just tell the end of the story. So when we were in Rome making pictures very quickly,
Yeah.
and we met at the Hilton Bar in Rome. This was 30 years, it was later, and we were sitting there exhausted from the way the Italians had picked up making the films in America. And I said, John, everybody's so free now. People have babies. They don't bother getting married. That we made a serious mistake. We should have at least had a baby. And he said, yes, as he cried into his martini. The only trouble is the baby would be 30 years old now.
You left that story out, but you told just about everything else in here. Shelley, why did you write the book? May seem
Because
like
I
awfully
wanted to
simple.
be mean.
You mean?
No.
Have you heard from these people in here?
No, it's very strange. All my interviewers, the women, love it. They love all this kiss and tell business, which it really isn't. I'm very circumspect, and there's nothing salacious in the book. I don't think. It's sort of romantic and glittery, the way love affairs used to be in the 50s and late 40s and even early 60s. It's gotten more, maybe there's more quantity, but there's less quality. But men seem very upset at the idea of revealing the names of past husbands and lovers.
Well,
but women like it.
Yeah,
Now
what
watch
about
them get all upset.
I'm not
Go ahead.
upset. What about the men in here that you talk about?
Well, some of the men loved it and called me up and gave me funny stories. Marlon Brando called me and said, look, it's okay to put me in your book, but on a scale of 10, I want to be 10.
You
Well, I
had
want
a
to talk to you about
romance.
the house he lived in, though. Oh, that's unbelievable.
Oh, there were a lot of
Have you
actors
went
live
to
like
dinner
that.
with him and kept your coat and hat on?
Yeah, there's no dinner at his house. But, a lot of students in Boston live that way. I've been to Coldwater Flats in Boston where you kept your coat and hat and woolen underwear. It gets cold here.
You had a romance with Marlon Brando, didn't you?
Well, yes, it was a very friendly one. It went on for a number of years, and we were sort of in between love affairs, friendly lovers. And that's the only way I can describe it. In those days, he wasn't afraid of the press, and he was a beginning actor. And as a matter of fact, I went to Hollywood first, and then I warned him he should take his relatives. So he came with his sister, and he lived with his grandmother in Silver Lake. People don't know it. But my sister and I had some very weird experiences. She was my chaperone. She was a nurse. She was 21, and well, I don't know. I think I wrote the book to find out how old I am.
I have to ask you, and it seems, I hate to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway, because we had an author on a couple of years ago.
If you ask me how old I am, I don't know.
No. This
No,
is
we
about
wouldn't
Clark
do that.
Gable, that you dated. You knew Clark Gable
Yes.
very well.
Not in the biblical sense.
Oh.
Biblical sense? Oh, okay.
I knew him, but not.
Well, anyway,
I
the
just-
question is, did he have bad breath?
No.
Okay.
He drank a bit. He drank a bit.
Do you know that book that was out a couple of years ago on Clark Gable?
No.
That was one of the biggest points they made in the book. He had bad breath.
Isn't that
Oh, what
something?
nonsense. There's a book out now which claims Errol Flynn was a Nazi and a
Yes.
spy or something. He
Yeah.
could have been a spy for Disney. I mean, it's just silly. He was very romantic and so busy with his living every day. He used to say anybody who died leaving more than $10,000 was insane. And he made a lot of money, and it's hard to spend about $50,000 a day.
He
It
did.
takes time, and he
You
managed it.
You said he was one of the best smelling men you've ever known in
Yes.
your life.
You're
God,
into smells this morning,
It
aren't you?
seems to be, yes.
It's true. There's perfume, or by the way, in the ladies' room, I used some perfume. I think it's yours.
Oh, terrific.
You
Shelley.
notice anything missing? I took it.
Oh, okay.
What did you? Yes. Errol Flynn had a sailboat and sailed a lot, and because he was so glamorous in those days that women would go insane when they saw him, so he sort of stayed on the ocean a lot. And I guess he got into the habit of running, they do it in Italy, men, they grow, and then there was a lot of lemon trees and lime trees on his property, of rubbing lemon and lime, this is a hint in the morning, rubbing lime and lemon leaves on their bodies after they shower. And he sort of had a smell of the sea and lemon and lime. Oh, it's all coming back.
Our guest is Shelley Winters, actress, Academy Award-winning actress, and now author of Shelley, otherwise also known as Shirley.
AKA, yes.
Okay, I have a little revelation of my own for you. A couple of years ago, about 15.
John, you sure you want to tell this on television?
Yeah, I'll tell about it. I did a small scene with you, although I wasn't with you. It was in one that you were starring in at Universal. It was an hour thing for television, you know, and I played a newscaster, like they usually do. And I saw you at a distance, and I kept that at a distance because you had the reputation of being a pincher. I was scared to death of you.
Pincher?
Pincher? Are you a pincher?
Are you a groper, never a pincher? No, wait, that's the first time I've ever heard that. What was the picture? Do you remember the name?
No, I don't remember the name of it. You were very good, though.
I didn't know you were a movie star, John.
I wasn't. I was just a blur going by.
Was it a period Western, or was it?
No, that's one I had always wanted to do. I never did a Western. No, this was I think it was a bedroom farce or something like that. And somebody was murdered or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I did a lot of those pictures. The dialogue was the same. You just changed your costume and the locale. I did 3 pictures with the same script. One was called South Sea Sinner, which was in a southern island. One was Untamed Frontier, which is the frontier. And the other one was someplace in New Orleans. I swear it was the same story, but just we changed costumes and actors. And
but the picture that really rocketed you to stardom was the one with Ronald Colman. Yes. What kind of a man was he? That won an Emmy for you, too.
They threw the mold away. They
That's
absolutely did. He was a gentleman that par excellence. You know, I said he always reminded me of the poem Richard I can't talk this morning. Richard Courier. Am I saying it right? I'm so intimidated being in a Harvard or around Harvard. And he just was so elegant and so nice. And the first day that we worked together, I went 96 takes, which is a record. All I had to do was pour him coffee. I was a waitress, and water, take out a pad and pencil, and he say, yes. He says, how's the chicken cacciatore? And I said, well, it's your stomach. That was the scene. I poured the coffee in his lap, the water on his head. I dropped the pencil. They thought they hired the village idiot.
You know, something I have to ask you, though.
Yes.
Yeah. When you started, it was customary for the studios to own an actress or an actor for 7 years, wasn't it? I mean,
own is the exact word. If you went to Malibu, you got on suspension. You know, I do have a reputation for being temperamental or something like that. And that's only because the studio would discipline me with, if I refused a picture like Little Egypt or 9 Girls or some... one of those pictures, they would put out all these lousy stories about me. And in the 7 years I was under contract, I did 35, and I was on suspension for 2 years for getting married and having a baby or going to New York to study and stuff. So I got paid 5 years in the 7. And and I did 35 movies in those 5 years. Sometimes I was doing 2 at once. And these were leads. So I couldn't, with all that disciplined work, I couldn't have been very temperamental.
Your life...
35 pictures. Boy, that's a lot of work.
Your life really changed with a visit to Israel and a kibbutz, didn't it? Tell us
it really did. Well, the state was only about a year old. Now, I've got my years mixed up so. I mean, I remember what happened, but I never know which year it happened in. I mean, Harvard's bringing, and Boston's bringing a lot of memories back. We were at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel last night, and I was remembering that I'd stayed there before once. And... it was very romantic then.
Well, who were you with?
Never mind.
Oh, come on, tell.
Hi, Burt Lancaster.
Oh, Burt Lancaster.
Yes. He was separated from his wife at the time, hoping for a divorce, but they didn't get a divorce till their children grew up. But and we used to make dates in strange cities because we had a hopper and Walla Parsons controlled. So I was in New York and he was doing, I don't know, appearing with a picture. So we met in Boston. And we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, and I remember it was very romantic.
But how about the visit to the kibbutz? What happened?
Oh, yes. I went to Israel when the state was a year old, and it was an extraordinary experience. They were just building the country, and there were a lot of little trees, and I was with Farley Granger, and he just went there, sort of, it was another country, and he saw shows, but I went off into the desert to see I don't know, a
Kibbutz?
symphony orchestra, no, a show about the Maccabees, and a South African teacher who had left South Africa because she couldn't stand it and had come to Israel, said, would you like to visit my kibbutz? And I had been, every place I went in Europe, I said, I was terrified. In London, I said it looked like Wall Street, and in Paris, I said, oh, it looked like the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. You know, I was somehow, and I'm still not a good traveler. And she took me off into the night. It was about a 5-mile walk to her kibbutz, and I stayed there for 3 days. And it was an extraordinary experience. And it was attacked while I was there. The people just came in. They had a concrete blockhouse, and we didn't know whether the Arabs were just practicing because they didn't have anything to do that day.
But didn't I understand that that experience led you to Italy, where you met Vittorio Gassman?
You can't give away the whole picture.
The
The picture.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yes, very strangely enough, I had kind of, I guess maybe, I think it was a hallucination. I wanted to see Rome by myself. I was sort of engaged to be engaged with Farley, not to be married. And I had bought a very expensive dress from Christian Dior. Well, Eva Peron was buying the whole line, and I felt very guilty. So I went to a little modiste who is now famous in Rome and bought 5 dresses for $100 each, so I felt not so guilty. And we got on this plane, and I had this small overnight case with me, and Farley kept saying, well, this plane stops in Greece and Geneva and Paris. It doesn't stop in Rome. I said, well, in case it does, I'll get off and have another fitting. And I got off. It stopped in Rome for some reason that I'll never know, to pick up somebody important. You know, propeller planes used to do that in those days. Am I speaking English?
Yes, you are.
Propeller planes.
That's tough to say.
And when I got that night, I met Vittorio, and then I fitted the dresses for 2 months, and Farley caught on that those dresses were never going to be ready.
Oh.
So he sent me a wire and said, well, look before you leap, and I'm a phone call away. We're still very good friends.
Are you?
Yes,
Well,
we
these are only a few of the stories in the book, Shelley, and we
Also
never did
known as
explain.
Shirley.
Yeah, I never explained the subtitle.
Can you quickly
Shirley
tell us what that
Shrift.
means?
Yeah.
Yes, my real name is Shirley Shrift. I'll try to do it as quickly as I can. But in those days, they just changed your name. And I went into an office, and a secretary, I was for a job in the theater, said, Shirley Shrift, that's not a very good name. I said, I don't like it either. There's millions of Shirleys in Brooklyn. And she said, well, don't you have a name that sounds like Shirley? And I said, well, Shelley is my favorite poet. She said, oh, we write to Shelley. And she said, what's your mother's maiden name? And I said, Winter. She wrote down Winter, and she sent the card in, Shelley Winter. And then in their infinite wisdom, Universal made me plural and added an S.
Just
I don't know why
born
it
again.
became Shelley Winter.
Shelley, thank you very much. I've enjoyed the
Yes.
conversation.
Thank
Good luck
you.
with the book.
Thank
And
you.
as I said, there's only a few of the stories that we've discussed today. There are many, many more, and very well-known people.
I got
I
that
hope
to
it's
Good luck
funny.
to you.
I tried to
Yes,
make,
it is. You do
I don't
it
like
tongue in
people who
cheek.
take themselves too seriously. So many actors make $1 million a picture and they suffer. I don't make $1 million a picture, nowhere near, but I have a good time.
Can I just quickly tell that our famous Boston designer, Fiandaka, is here in the studio, and Shelley went a little crazy over an outfit over there.
I bought it right now. Thank you. I hope I was awake during this.
Oh,
interview.
you are a
certainly were.
terrific lady.